Before I begin my remarks tonight, I need to make something really clear, and that's that Americans United is not connected with this event, as Carrie said. I'm speaking as a private citizen and not as a spokesperson for AU. Okay, so here I go. Women have the power and the numbers to make political history in Kansas this year. The question is, will we turn out in record numbers and take back our state from the incompetent and dangerous misogynist ideologues in Topeka? Well, I hope so, because this is what is at stake. Do we wish to live in a free society, an open society, or under a government that does not respect the boundaries that keep religion and government from colluding together to impose a religious state over the people? Kansas and its people are suffering because the Brownback administration doesn't know the meaning of respecting church and state to ensure good government. Yeah, good government means listening to logic and reason, but Brownback only listens to his gang of corporate buddies and religious zealots. Their personal agenda has nothing to do with good government or the well-being of Kansas citizens. I stand here today criticizing Brownback not because he is a Republican, but because he and so many other politicians in Topeka threaten the very essence of the American political system of government. I soundly repudiate his stance that our state and nation should be ruled by his fundamentalist Christian faith and that the separation of church and state is a false notion. Brownback and his new pet group, the Cultural Shield Network, are working to elect more extremists to office. In their imaginary world, only people of their faith are moral and worthy of holding public office. Wrong. Brownback and his buddies support vouchers that divert taxpayer funds from public to private schools. They deny climate change and evolution, and they will continue to discriminate against same-sex couples and women's reproductive decisions the minute they have the opportunity. Yeah, boo. All of us recoil in horror at the sectarian violence that is playing out in Syria, Iraq, and Afghanistan. America has remained above religious violence for the simple reason that our founders had the good sense to separate governing from religious doctrines. It's true, when church and state join together, it is a recipe for disaster. I reject the idea that we need to emulate the political systems of the Middle East. America is not a Christian nation, it is a democratic republic. No one's religion or belief system owns or should control the American government. We are a free society. Our founders long ago rejected the Puritan idea of a religious state on the hill. We choose, and we continue to choose, religious freedom and the right to believe what our conscience dictates instead of politicians using their faith to control the government and our lives. Sam Brownback is just wrong to deny the principle of church-state separation. As the executive officer of this state, he should be upholding the Constitution instead of denigrating its most important principle. But Brownback is mesmerized by his own religiosity. He has spent his political career in a religious crusade on behalf of his faith. And we know what this has meant to the women of Kansas. Politicians stripping women of their rights as full humans and limiting their reproductive choices. Yeah. Without the protection of church-state separation, citizens are denied their most basic civil liberties and freedoms, and that is why Sam Brownback is against the separation of church and state. It is more difficult for him to carry out his agenda of controlling private and personal decisions as long as the wall of church-state separation remains high. It is a dangerous game to play by claiming your religion is the best or the first or the greatest of the land. None of this should matter in America because religious freedom means simply the right to worship your faith, not the right to have government promote your faith to the public as the greatest and the best and the truth over all other faiths. I say to the women of Kansas, if you value your freedom and your life, you must stand up and vote this November to protect your health and your personal liberties from being controlled by religious zealots like Sam Brownback. This may be our last chance to change the course of history before religious freedom becomes a distant memory in the wake of religious extremism in America. Vote for a future that respects the separation of church and state by rejecting candidates who believe their faith is all that matters when it comes to governing. Thank you.